Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into a really essential industry resource, the 2026 Fabrication Guide by FIDAR System. If you work in a sign shop, or you've just kind of wondered how those massive, flawless signs are actually built, you're in for a treat. We are exploring the absolute backbone of modern sign fabrication, aluminum composite material, or ACM, and we're going to see exactly how a raw panel transforms into a finished masterpiece on the shop floor.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is our agenda for today. 1. Why build with ACM? 2. Choosing your panel finish. 3. Clean cuts and V-grooves. 4. Printing and installation prep. And finally 5. Ordering from FIDAR System. Starting with Section 1. Why build with ACM? Let's look at the material science.
To understand why this specific substrate is the undisputed standard across Canadian sign shops, you've got to look at its brilliant sandwich construction. ACM is basically two incredibly thin sheets of painted aluminum securely bonded to a solid polyethylene core. This ingenious format was actually pioneered by 3A Composites. You might know their famous die bond product, specifically as a print and sign substrate. It was literally engineered from the ground up to solve the exact headaches sign makers were having with solid metals and heavy plastics.
Now, I want to make a quick but really critical clarification about that core. You've got the standard PE core, and then you've got a fire-rated FR core, which uses a mineral blend. It is super important to know that for 99% of the signage work you're doing on a bench, your freestanding signs, wall signs, low-rise storefronts, that standard PE core is absolutely the right call. The fire-rated core, that's specifically a building code requirement for multi-story occupied facades. So unless you're cladding a massive high-rise, standard PE core is exactly what you want.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly why ACM rules the bench. It's rigid enough to span a frame without getting that awful wavy warped look known as oil canning. But remarkably, it's also lightweight. At about 16 kilograms for a full 4x8 sheet, one single person can easily haul a blank right over to the router without breaking their back. Add in a consistent factory finish that requires zero painting, and, well, it's pretty clear why shops love this stuff.
Moving on to Section 2, choosing your panel finish. Before the blade even touches the material, you have to choose the right blank. First up is your aluminum face gauge. The industry standard is 0.2 millimeters, which is just perfect for everyday printed signage, but if you're tackling premium interior features with, say, high-end gloss or mirror finishes, you'll absolutely want to step up to the 0.3 millimeter face. That slightly heavier gauge is way better at resisting denting and handling marks, which protects that beautiful specialty finish during the install.
Taking a look at the pricing and performance breakdown from FIDAR System, white matte comes in at just $57.44 Canadian per sheet. It is the undisputed workhorse for sign shops right now. Why? Because you get the absolute best performance for printing and taking cut vinyl, all at the lowest price point. Now, specialty finishes like mirror silver look incredible, and they definitely serve a purpose for premium jobs, but they resist print and cost over double. So for everyday volume, white matte is for sure your best friend.
Let's move to Section 3, clean cuts and V-grooves, and see how this all builds. When it comes to tooling and machining, shearing the face without tearing the paint or causing chip out is the name of the game. So let's talk hard and fast tooling parameters. For straight cuts on a saw, grab an 80-tooth plus carbide blade with a triple chip grind, and always cut face up. When carving complex shapes on a CNC router, an O-flute or compression bit running at around 18,000 RPM leaves a beautifully clean edge. And for your fold lines, dedicated ACM V-groove bits will give you the exact angles those sign returns demand.
But please, if you take nothing else away, commit this one rule to memory. There are absolutely no exceptions. No laser. If you're used to working with acrylics where the laser cutter is king, you gotta switch gears. The aluminum face on an ACM panel will reflect the CO2 laser beams straight back up, and it will completely wreck your machine's expensive optics. So keep ACM far away from the laser bed.
We also need to talk about swarf. While ACM cuts nice and cool without those huge plumes of fine dust, it does produce coarse aluminum chips, known as swarf, and these chips are sharp. If you aren't running your router's vacuum shoe, or if you carelessly drag a panel across a dirty bench, those static clinging chips will deeply scratch your flawless factory face. Always, always deburr your edges and wipe those chips away immediately.
Now, there's a magic number when it comes to turning a flat panel into a gorgeous 3D sign. That number is 0.8 millimeters. So the crucial point is, when you're routing a V-groove to fold an edge, you must stop your bit exactly 0.8 millimeters from the back skin. Go too shallow and the panel face cracks when you bend it. Go too deep and you just cut right through your hinge. But if you nail that 0.8 millimeter depth, you'll get a perfect, crisp, 90-degree corner folded right by hand.
Once you've bent that beautiful corner by hand, you have to lock it in. The face is going to look seamless from the front, but behind the scenes, you've got to permanently secure that return. Standard practice is using pop rivets every 150 to 200 millimeters, applying a high-strength structural tape, or using an angle bracket, completely depending on the structural load that specific sign has to handle. All right, on to Section 4, Printing and Installation Prep, getting the ink on the board and the sign on the wall.
The print prep sequence here is brutally simple but completely non-negotiable. Step 1. Wipe down the face with isopropyl alcohol. The non-porous factory surface is super forgiving, but ink simply won't stick to the oils from your fingerprints. Step 2. Lay your UV flatbed ink or cut vinyl directly onto that prepped matte face. And Step 3. Apply a UV overlaminate only if that sign is going to be baking in direct harsh sun for years. Otherwise, the UV ink cures hard and durable right off the printer.
Now for installation. Hanging an ACM sign is incredibly light work compared to solid aluminum, but a bowed sheet will fight you the entire time if you don't treat it right. So first off, in the shop, store and rack your blanks completely flat. Don't lean them against a wall. When mounting flat-cut signs, fasten through the face using wide washers so you don't dent the skin. And if it's a panel system, follow the spec and hang them on the proper extrusion clips.
Here's an incredibly important pro tip for you. You absolutely must plan for the freeze-thaw cycle. Aluminum moves when temperatures swing. If you bolt down a long fascia run in the peak of summer heat with zero wiggle room, that sign is going to buckle and oil can violently during a January cold snap. Always drill slightly oversized holes for your fasteners. That gives the panel the expansion gaps it needs to stay perfectly flat across the seasons. Finally, Section 5, Ordering from FIDAR System. Let's look at the ultimate shop floor shortcut. Because, honestly, you don't actually have to do all that cutting and grooving yourself. You can skip those tough steps entirely by letting the supplier do it. You just send your exact cut list and fold lines directly to FIDAR System. They'll cut the panels to size and precisely V-groove all your returns before you even pick it up or take delivery. The material drops onto your bench ready to fold and finish. That saves you massive amounts of time, spares your expensive router bits, and frees up your manual labor. Why rely on them? Well, they essentially act as an extension of your own shop floor. They keep all 8 major finishes in stock locally. They provide same-day pricing to keep your quotes moving, and they completely offload your fabrication bottlenecks. If your router is tied up on another job, you can still have a massive ACM sign project moving forward because your supplier is doing the heavy lifting for you. Here are the exact logistical details you need. You can request a quote, purchase materials, and place your fabrication orders directly at FIDARsystem.com. If you want to pick up locally, their physical Toronto warehouses at Unit 29, 601 Magnetic Drive in North York, Ontario. And here is a highly valuable perk. They offer free delivery for orders over $700 as long as you're within 30 kilometers of the warehouse. That right there is a massive logistical win for your bottom line.
So, what does this all mean for you? I'll leave you with this provocative question to wrap up our explainer today. Are you ready to get your next sign job cut, grooved, and delivered straight to your bench from FIDARsystem.com? Understanding the material science of ACM makes you a better fabricator for sure, but knowing how to leverage an expert supplier, that makes you a smarter business. Thank you so much for joining me to unpack this fantastic resource, and hey, here's to making your next big fabrication job your smoothest one yet.